Rick's doing that for me. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, this morning we're going to do something a little different. Can everybody hear me? In the back? Are you okay? Okay. We're going to talk about the Psalm 81 that we read this morning. We seldom talk about the Psalms, do we? They're just kind of part of our Sunday morning worship, and most of us, we just kind of read them together, and then we just go on from there. But this morning I want to stop and look at the Psalm 81 that we read. But before I do that, let's talk about the Psalms. We don't know too much about them, other than that we do know that they were the songs, the hymns of the ancient Israelites. They were sung by them in their temple. They're still sung in their synagogues today. Just about every religious denomination, with a few exceptions, have a psalm in their Sunday morning worship. So they are an important part. Because the Psalms have a time span of over 500 years. What we can do with the Psalms is we can get a feel for how the individuals and the communities were feeling at the time that they were composed. A little bit of trivia. Psalms have 3 classifications. At least that is my take on them. Scholars disagree, some, as all scholars do. Some say they're 3, some 5, some 6. Some say there are 150 Psalms, some say there are 151. We get all kinds of. But for me, personally, I like the classification of 3. First kind of psalm we have is the psalm of praise. We do that all the time. Our songs, we praise God, we thank God. Now we can do this individually, especially if God has done something in our lives. You know, if we were not feeling well or we had loved ones that weren't, and for whatever reason they are better, we have a psalm of praise. Community has a psalm of praise too, just like we do. We praise God for our blessings. Second kind of psalm is what we call a lament. And that's a crying out to God. It can be individual, it can be a community, but it's where you're crying out to God for help. You know, you have someone who's sick. We have this. We say our prayers. The ancient Israelites would sing as a community or even as individuals, especially if the crops weren't doing well or the vineyards weren't, the grapes weren't ripening as they should. They can be individual or it can be communal. Third psalm, we don't have too many of these. These are called the royal psalms. And they were composed for, like the coronation of a king, a wedding, a celebration, the Passover. And that was a community. There was no individual. That's a community psalm. So we have 3 classifications. Take a look at Psalm 81. Where does it fall? Take a look at it. Where do you think it falls? Is it a psalm of praise? Is it a psalm of lament? Or is it a royal psalm?
Psalm of praise.
Actually, what did you say?
I said lament.
Yeah, it is. It's a psalm of lament. Actually, what it is, whoever's written it is looking at, it was composed by someone who was looking at how God was looking down on the ancient Israelites. Because if you notice, God is lamenting. What is God doing? God is unhappy, isn't he? The ancient Israelites are back to their old games again that we always have them doing. It was probably composed at some time during the height of Israel as a nation. So what they're doing is, remember, they went outside of Israel, they married, they brought these gods and goddesses back. Remember, at one time they even had a temple to a goddess built in the center of Jerusalem. God is not happy. God has given them all of this nation, this land, and still they have a problem disobeying disobeying God. Now, one of our most popular laments that goes along with this, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, is the one, Psalm 137, by the rivers in Babylon. We sat down and wept. That was made famous by Godspell. And it's also part of a number of the African American spirituals because it deals with exile and being in slavery as they were. Okay. Now that we've done all of that, you're probably sitting there now, how in the world does this psalm apply to us? We don't have any gods or goddesses that I know of, that I can think of. And when I look at you and when I talk to some of your people, especially when I got back from school, I noticed that you had, and I heard that you had gotten to know your Muslim neighbors, right? Spent a lot of time, spent 4 weeks with them, learning what they believed, learning their culture. You've even, I was here the other day and you're all down there painting the food pantry, which you'll be working with not just Kemp, but also with the Muslim community. That's a great step for you. That's a great step. That really is, and I'm very proud of you that you've been able to do that, because many, many people, many churches have not done that. But what about our personal? What about our personal? I mean, can we take what we have learned, what you learned in that class and what you learn as time goes on, out into that community? I mean, can you refuse to listen to the prejudice of others? Can you stand up for those who are bullied because they have skin that may be too dark, or have a different lifestyle than you, or wear different clothes, or even maybe speak a different language? Can you do that? Can we do that? And what is our attitude to that grocery clerk? She's African American. Do we smile at her and say hi, or do we just kind of ignore her? Or what about the mentally and physically challenged man or woman who helps you take your groceries out to the car? How do you treat them? Or perhaps it's that young person working at McDonald's. They got tattoos on their arm. They got a ring in their nose. They got blue hair. How do you treat them? You know, they're God's children too. Every one of them and every one of us belongs to God. I think one of the greatest gifts that this doctorate program that I'm in has given me is actually the diversity of the people that is in my class. My classmates are from just about every religious tradition. They're Baptists, they're Congregationalists, they're Methodists, they're Lutherans, they're Episcopalians, Presbyterian. And they come from all over the world. They come from Canada, Sweden, Ireland, Korea, Burma, Trinidad. And from here in the United States, they have come from Boston and Pennsylvania all the way from California and every place in between. They come in every size, every shape, every age, and every gender. They have different lifestyles, different backgrounds, and different beliefs. But we learn to respect each other, although our beliefs weren't all the same. And I think this is something that you have learned as you studied the Muslim beliefs. You didn't tie into the media that's out there telling you all these things. You didn't look at all the stuff that's printed on Facebook. You went and you did it yourself. You looked at what was real. Now, learning in a classroom situation like I was in, you were in, I think that's wonderful. And learning the different religions and the different cultures, that's great. But can we take that out into the world? Or are we just going to hold it in kind of to ourselves? Can we make a difference in the lives of others? Can we, when it's necessary, be the voice of reason? Can we, through our actions, make others sit up and take notice? Can we, simply by refusing to be prejudiced, help others see the God in each of us? I think, that's our challenge. That is our challenge, especially today. And knowing all that we have learned and all that you have done, I really think you and me and all of us are up to that challenge. Now, it's probably a pretty scary challenge, right? At least it is for me. Bucking this system that we have is not easy. Speaking the truth does not usually endear us to people who don't want to hear the truth. But we can make a difference. A difference, why? Because God is on our side. God is going to help us. And God will give us the courage to stand up to those who are unkind or cruel to their neighbor, or those who are bullied and do the bullying. We can make a difference. Challenging those who act out of those long-held prejudices is not going to be easy. Challenging them to think differently, that's what it's all about. But we're not alone. We have each other, and we have God. Amen.
Amen.